little smooth music to get us cracking on this Friday, this Foreign Friday, Thomas, to get us in the right mood for that kind of chill mood so that you're thinking clean and hopefully your picks can be clear and winner and concise and winners, right?
Well, we try.
Got off to a smoking start last week at down under at Caulfield. That trifecta I hit for what, $250 for 50 cents. Now that's US dollars, right? Not Australian.
That's US dollars.
Yes, indeed. So I was and damn near came home in that last race to nailing a big one, but that one horse finished second, screwed me completely up. But if right, if is the biggest word in the dictionary.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple winners. No big prices, but I'm always happy to have winners.
Yeah, like our Terry likes to say, where else can you double your money or triple your money? And in Tom's case, 25 to 1 your money in a minute and a half.
Very few places.
Very few places. So today we're going to go off to Ascot in England, and we also have a special bonus, the Everest in Australia at Royal Randwick, which is what you said. It's the richest sprint race in the world, right?
Richest 6 furlong race in the world.
And it's like 9.3 million US dollars and something like 15 Australian million. Is that right?
15 million Australian, yeah.
So big money at stake there. We couldn't let a race like that go by. And then it's a significant day in England at Ascot. What is what's going on there?
Well, this is the kind of the finality of the flat season. This is the British Champions Day. And we got 5 races and a heritage handicap, and the 5 races are only either group. Well, there's one group 2, and the rest of them are group 1s. And they does attract some decent horses, and there's one race in particular where there's a decent horse running.
Well, some say maybe the best horse in the world, Baaeed, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So I think 1 to 5 morning line, something like that. Probably going to be 1 to 9.
Last number I saw was 1 to 4, but you're not going to get 1 to 4.
Probably 1 to 20 by the time the gates open. All right. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start in Australia? Or do you want to start in
let's start
England?
With
you want to start with Ascot? Okay.
Yeah, let's start with the long distance race.
All right. So the first race we're going to do at Royal Ascot is race number 1. That is the Qipco British Champions Long Distance Cup. This one, Tom, is a long one for sure. It's 2 miles. The going is supposed to be good to soft, so it might be a little bit. Is it going to rain there, or has rained? What's the weather supposed to improve, get worse?
Yeah, they've had some weather there, but not significant enough to really alter the course. I don't think. I think the good to soft is right now a fair assessment.
All right. And this one will go off at 8:25 a.m. Eastern. So right as you're having your coffee and your McDonald's tomorrow morning, you'll be able to watch this one popping in on your computer. Hopefully we get some winners. We look at the Ascot track, 1 mile. And so 1 mile and 2 miles. Where the hell is 2 miles going to start here?
Right. Yeah, right there.
And then it's going to go up the hill, down the hill, around the hill, slight rise, steady rise, come back down, go more uphill, I guess, and then finish downhill at the finish line, Tom. So at this sort of race, I guess, like these, like here, they'll probably jog out and it'll be just one big move. How significant is it getting to that turn first, though, considering how tight that looks on the screen?
Well, you still got a lot of race left on that turn. So it's whether the horse needs to tuck in or can he sit on the front and nurse the lead. And I really think, for the most part, you're going to see one horse kind of along the rail or a couple out on the inside, and then they'll just with cover and they'll just pull out and run away with the field and
get rolling.
With that, I'm going to take number 5, Trushan, as my top choice.
There you go.
Missed by a neck last out is the big favorite.
2 to 1.
He likes this type of. He didn't like the going is not to his liking. When he ran at Goodwood and ran a third there against the best stayer in the world without question, Qipco, who just won it, Perry Longchamp. But I think the most interesting race for this horse this year is on the all-weather at Newcastle. It carried 152 pounds.
Oof.
One a really gutsy performance winning. And the horse that finished second that gave him that run, pushed him, was at 124 pounds. So pretty impressive distance race, distance stayer. This is a horse that prefers given the track. So the soft going, good to soft, maybe even soft is more to this horse's liking. And I think it's going to get that kind of track, and it should be very, very competitive in this race.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I'm going to take the horse that beat him last time, Coltrane, number 1. He lost to Quickthorn, who's also in this race, by 14 lengths before his last start. But he's been moving up all along this year, from listed to handicap, and then he's been running very well in group companies. So this is stayers tend to develop more so when they get older. And he's 5. And so he looks like he's right in that stage. Maybe next year, if everything's good with him, he could be one of the top stayers in England. He's certainly heading that way. And so I'm going to flip him this time. I'm going to put Trushan on top of Coltrane. And finally, I'm going to take a bit of a price, to say the least. And that's number 3, Stratum. I tossed the last race. He lost by 47 lengths. Something obviously was wrong with that race. I mean, he's won once this year. He's 9 years old, won once. He won at Royal Ascot, going a big distance, 2.5 miles. And he's been in the money of his 44 starts. He's been in the money 22 times. And they even sent this horse down to Australia for the Melbourne Cup. So they obviously think he's got something. That's a lot of money to spend to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And but he also has won over the hurdles 3 times, and he's won a chase also once. So he's pretty versatile. This is a real tough company because you could pick many of these horses to win. I'm not looking at him to win. I just think that the William Buick up for William Owens, this horse has got enough that if he's got anything to him, he can slip in there at a price. And that's what I'm playing.
Well, I'm going to play number 8, Waterville, as my first selection. If you look at this horse's past performances, it's kind of funny when you look like a 1.5 miles, 1.25 miles. Around here, we think, 1.5 miles, 1.25 miles. Those are long races, right? But it doesn't look like it's long enough for Waterville. It looks like the longer this horse goes, when it ran 2 16th miles, 1 by 6 and 1 by a neck. So I think this one's really going to like going 2 miles. I think it's kind of shown that. Number 5, Trushan, is my second choice in here. This is a horse that has run at Royal Ascot. It's Royal Ascot on that weekend. Otherwise, it's just regular Ascot, right?
Well, the Royal Ascot is those 5 days, 5 days that are in June. And this is British Champions Day. It's Ascot with British Champions. Where would you else run this kind of race?
And then looking at Trushan, though, at Ascot, it's run twice, won both of them, run at the distance 4 times, won 3 of them and a third, and it's also traveled well over a good to soft course. So I'm okay with that. My second choice, my third choice, is that your?
That's
Thomas?
me. That's me.
I'm just wondering, like,
my computer being annoying.
Is there something in my computer? Because sometimes I couldn't figure this out before. I'd have a Facebook page open, and then I would hear these dings in the headphones, and I'd be like, "What is that?" And then but I wasn't sure. I was looking to see if I had a Facebook page open, but I don't. I'm going to go with Quickthorn 2. The horse has run across the Ascot course 3 times, win in a second. But I like the fact that at this distance, 3 times out, 2 wins and a second. The second was pretty close. This is a horse to me that last race is another one of those 6 by 52 lengths. You got to toss that out because clearly something wasn't right there. But its other form at the distance is really fantastic. And then finally, I'm going to end off with number 7. I think this one could be the favorite, maybe either that or Trushan, but that's Eldorov. Another horse that's undefeated and won at Royal Ascot, but it's run 5 times, won 4 of them, and has a second in that other race. Excuse me, a fourth. It was off the board in that one. That was a time across the soft track, but this one's making its second start off a layoff. And if you look last time, debut, second career start, the second career start to me was an improvement off of the first start. So I'm kind of hoping to see that horse run the same sort of race pattern. All right, let's see what the predictor has to say. I didn't forget, Thomas. All right. So the predictor says, oh, that horse is going to win easy. Boom. Trushan. Thomas has got Trushan. Then it looks like, maybe Quickthorn and Eldorov as your second and third picks, with Coltrane coming in for the Superfecta. The 5-horse didn't make it in there, huh? My shot. All right, Thomas, let's go on off to the next race then. Race number 2.
Well, your choice is the second stringer in terms of the stayers that Aidan O'Brien has, because he's got Kryptos and he hasn't been beaten yet this year. So it's kind of, he's just kind of just throwing that other horse right in there. And that's why I kind of shied away from him. Now, if it had been the other one, yeah, he'd be the big favorite in this race.
All right, well, let's see if we can get it right this time, though. Race number 2. This one is the British Championship Sprint Stakes. This one is going to be 6 furlongs. Right now, it looks like that race is scheduled to go off at approximately, God, I'm so blind, 9 a.m. Eastern. So you're going to want to make sure you set your clocks to that, your bell, like Thomas has on his computer, so that you're ready for that race. 6 furlongs on the Ascot track. You're going to start here. It's just a straight line all the way down to the finish line. You got a little bit of uphill and then a little bit of downhill as they run to the finish. On a straight race, is there really any advantage to getting any particular post?
Yes. Going is one thing. The other is, when they go out there, their jockeys and trainers go out and walk the track prior to the racing starting. They do try to pick a path that would be best suited for the horse that they have. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, the first race is not going to give us much indication of what could happen in the second race, being the stayers going in the first race, and now we got sprinters. In my past experience, I have found that it could be the two outsides you're more favored to. So the far rail or the inside rail grandstand side tends to be where your winners come from. Or if you're the Riddler, you start out there and then come all the way across
and cut everybody off. Well, they says they're going to put the stalls on the far side, so you'd want the horses closest to the rail then.
Yeah, that would be. I would say that's. But again, you got a big field, so that's the far side. When they put that gate up, there's two. They've got to put 2 gates up to accommodate the entire field. So I would say the far side would be more advantageous depending on the going there. Mm-hmm. And you've only had one race go over that. It was an interesting point when the Arc was run, and you would think the big stakes races would be one of the last races of the day. Well, because of the track conditions in the fall at that track, they tend to run the bigger races earlier because of the going. Because obviously it's going to get chopped up as you have more races.
Yeah,
and most of the other races are shorter, with the exception of one of the end races. So, does it favor one horse or another? Well, if they like the heavy going or like the soft going, yeah, it can. So with that, in this race, I took number 18, Tenebris.
All the way to the bottom.
Yeah, all the way to the bottom. Ran okay at Perry Longchamp last time out. 7 furlong race. What's curious about this race is they're dropping her in distance, and it's been a while since she's run 6 furlongs. She's been running 7, and she's been running a mile. When she ran a good 7 furlong race this year against 3-year-old males. Then she came back at Royal Ascot. She ran it before that, she ran at Royal Ascot against Inspiral, who's in one of these races today. And that was a mile race. So the thing with her last race that was really interesting is that she was basically up to the front for a good bit of the race. She was sitting second, and she just ran out of gas and finished 5th. She still beat a bunch of horses, but so I'm thinking Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore are going to maybe try to slip her right in here. She's going to get a little weight advantage over the other horses, and not a big one, but a little bit. And the this is just a really curious move. And I think that this horse likes the going, and it's 1-6 for a long race. It is, and less, I think that may be the distance for this horse. So that's why I put it on top.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to take one who's been off a while, and that's number 2, Baaeed the Brief. He won his first 2 races in the season in May, and he hasn't raced since. They were both on good, soft or good to yielding, and they were both at 6 furlongs. After layoffs, this horse has won 3 times from 5 starts. But I will note that it is at lesser levels.
Mm-hmm.
He steps up, faces some, faces a bunch of really good sprinters in this race. But I was really impressed with his last race. I mean, this 5-year-old gelding, he really, really ran a decent race and beat some good horses. It was at the Cura, but they've been prepping him, and I think he's going to put in a good performance. And you can tell by the price, some other people think so too. Finally, I'm going to take number 5, Garris, as my final choice. Last out ran 3rd to Highfield Princess in a Group 1 at 6.5 furlongs. She's very good. He wanted Deauville at 6 furlongs in a Group 3 race over the good to soft going. But his Royal Ascot race was, like a lot of these horses, he ran a stinker. He's had a little time off, not as much as Baaeed the Brief. They switched to Jim Crawley because they had to. The rider who was the other rider that had the mount before is on another horse, and I think I can get a little bit of money here. Yeah, I mean, they put up a pretty good effort against Highfield Princess, and she's definitely right now the class of the sprinters without question.
Well, that's 18-1 right there. I think you have 3 horses. I have 4. I don't think we agreed on 1, so that's probably a positive. I'm going to start off.
That just shows you how wide open this race is. I mean, there are 18 horses here. To me, I had 12 to break down.
Yeah, I had about 6, 7, 8. I think I had 8 in here. So I started off with number 14.
Probably maybe 4-1 in this race. I mean, that's how competitive it is. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
That's okay. I'm used to it. I cut everybody else off. So turnabout is fair play, as they say. Number 14 for me, Perfect Power, has been perfect at Ascot. 2 times out, 2 wins. Kind of all or nothing at the distance. Ran 5 times, won 3 of them. So if Perfect Power is going to show up, it's going to show up in the winner's circle. And what I like about this horse is when you look back, the horse has had a little bit of time off and he comes back to run. That first race off the bench, a lot of times, is the best of that series. So if that trend continues, Perfect Power should put in a perfect race, at least for him. My next horse is number 10, which is Rohan. Rohan is probably another horse that's done pretty well at the track. I like to focus on horses that have done pretty well at the track. Indeed, he has. 5 times, 4 wins, because those tracks in England are a little bit quirky, all of them, right? They all have their own little idiosyncrasies in them. And if a horse has performed well with the uphill, downhill, weird turns and stuff like that, you got to think that they take well to the track. Rohan has been on it 5 times, won 4 of them. So he certainly has done well at Ascot, certainly has done well at Ascot on a soft surface and on a good surface. So should like the going and absolutely loves the track. Next horse for me, Thomas, is Creative Force. Number 3, William Buick, Charles Appleby. Over here, when those 2 come together, you pretty much don't have to say anymore. Over there, it's probably not the same. But it's, again, another horse that's raced well at Ascot, 4 times out, 2 wins and a second. Been pretty strong at the distance as well. 5 of his career 6 wins have come at 6 furlongs. It's another one that tends to run okay coming off the bench, so I'm a fan of that. And then finally, I'm going to end it up with number 13. They didn't do it last night. It was Bears drop Bears, but I feel like at 33-1 at a horse at Ascot that's performed well at Ascot, it's performed well on the. I think the only thing perhaps that maybe was a little bit concerning is that I don't think it's done that well on a soft track, but it has run pretty well on a good track, probably going to be forwardly placed. And at 33-1 at a horse that's won at Ascot twice, I think it's well worth taking a shot and see if it can come home and continue its strong performance at Ascot. Were you kind of surprised to see it at 33-1, Tom?
Yeah, a little bit, but this is a really tough field. I don't know how many you had, but I started out with 8 to make the cut. The one thing with Bears Go is his form has not been as impressive as he was with a 2-year-old. I mean, he's been good, but he ran second last year in the Breeders' Cup. But I just thought this is a tough bunch, and there's speed up front, and he could easily get cooked depending on the location. Because remember the draw he has is going to play a role in that. So
I just figured he'll be out front. He'll give it a roll, and we'll see what happens at 33-1. It was a good risk, I feel like.
But you forgot the predictor.
Oh, crap. I got to open up the predictor. See, I did forget. All right, here we go. Race to the predictor. How can I be so silly? All right, predictor. Here we go. Boom. And it's going to be, it's going to be tight at the wire, but it looks like it's going to go to Art Power. Neither one of us have Art Power, do we? Rohan should be second in there. Go Bears Go, making a showing. Perfect Power, Kinross, double or bubble. So if Tom's trifecta hits, it's going to be a fat trifecta. So make sure you have your IRS paperwork handy, because it's going to maybe be a signer, as they used to call them in the old days. You don't have to sign for them anymore, right? But at the track, They used to have the IRS window that you'd go to. Not anymore.
No, those days are long gone.
Yes, filling out those forms. That you see, slip the guy 50 so you don't have to fill out the form, right, Tom?
No comment.
Yes, indeed.
But,
no, I can't comment.
But I would say a little higher than that.
All right. So race number 3 is the British Champions Fillies and Mare Stakes. This one is 1 mile and 4 furlongs. So in English, 1.5 miles, right? That's what that works out to be. If we look at 1.5 miles on the main track, looks like we're going to start right about here and almost 1 full turn around the triangle-shaped track. Up the hill. So we're going to start down the hill, then it flattens out, then a steady rise, then uphill some more, and then downhill. So it should be a pretty taxing run for the horses in here. This one, race number 3, should start at approximately 9:40 a.m. Eastern. And on this mile and a half, Tom, any sort of positional bias or running style you want to look for?
I'm generally not fond of the outside draws. I find that if they don't get position early, they usually are nowhere to be found. I've only seen a few do well at that outside, but they were also extraordinarily good horses. So I tend to favor 1 through 8, but I did pick 1 on the outside.
All right, who'd you pick?
I picked number 6. Sila Rosa is my top choice.
Sila Rosa.
Yeah, she's won her last 3 races, and she's really ran well last time at Paris Longchamp on the very soft going, and she beat a really good group of older horses. This season, she has 5 runs, 4 wins, and a second, and they're all either in Group 1, 2, or 3 company. So, been facing the decent horses, and she's also gone between 12 and 14 furlongs. The only loss that she had, where she finished second, the regular rider, Tom Marquette, was not on. So that was kind of curious. I think she's going to be a nicely developing horse from what I can see. And, that race at Paris Longchamp, she holds that sharp form. She's going to be very tough in this one. Number 1, Alba Flora is going to be my next choice. I tossed the last race, and I tossed the race before that. She just has not run very well this year. There were a little time off, but the thing I like about her is she really likes Ascot. She's run 3 times here, got a win, a second, and a third. So at a decent price, I've got to put her in there. I think she's good, and at this distance, she's going to be right around at the finish. And finally, I'm going to take the favorite, which is number 11, Emily Upjohn. I think will be the favorite, but we'll see. It ran in June. They put it in a race that probably didn't belong in against the males. And she performed exactly the way I thought she would perform. Finished dead last. But again, she was facing Group 1 winners in the males and some very talented bunch. So, and Mistress was in that race. Van Den was in that race, who just finished second in the ARC. So they're tough field. Prior to that race, she's won 3 and had a second from those 4 starts. She's been away since July, but she's won her debut, and she's also won off her layoff before. So this is going to be interesting to see what she can do here. I don't know if this is her ideal distance, and that's why I've got her for third.
For third. Well, I agree with you. So I don't know. Either run as fast as you can from the number 6, Sweet La Rosa, 7-1 right now. But this horse has never ran off the board on turf. The only time I ran off the board was on an all-weather track. On that turf, 11 times out, 7 wins, 3 seconds. So dominant at the winner's circle. At the distance, 2 times, 1 win, 1/3. So the third was one of those races that was at the 1.5 miles. It just looks to me like this horse is in phenomenal form right now. You're going to get a great effort out of it. And at 7-1 on a horse that, looks like it's from top form, I think it's a pretty good deal right there on that horse. I do have Sweet Lady as my second choice. That's number 7. This one is 11-1. Sweet Lady, this horse is making its second start off a layoff. And again, I'm a big cycle guy. I like to look to see, which race the trainer is likely targeting for the horse, or, how many races it takes for a horse to get into shape. The last 2 times Sweet Lady ran a second start off the break, won both of them. And in both of them, it was an improvement off the previous start. So the last time out at Longchamp, Sweet Lady won. Any improvement off of that, this horse would be a contender in here too. The next start for me is number 12, Tom. That one is Eternal Pearl, which I think might compete with Emily John for the honor of being the post-time favorite. Eternal Pearl's run at the distance. Pearl, 3 times, 2 wins, and a third. It's another horse. Just won 4 in a row. But if you look at the last, outside of its debut, which was its only run at Ascot, so horse has improved a lot since then. It's been within a half length, 3/4 of a length, so it's not more than 1 1/4 lengths away from winning its last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races. And even in that debut, it had a little bit of problems getting going. It didn't really want to run and still finished 4th by only 3 lengths. So I think this is a horse that should put a really solid effort in as well. This is a really wide open race to me too, Tom, I feel like. You could tell by the odds, 5-1, 4-1. And then finally, number 2 is my final choice in here. That is Ishada. And right now in my mind, I'm telling myself, don't forget the predictor. Don't forget the predictor. But this is a horse that really struggles to make it 2 races in a row. But it's going to make it for the second race in a row. And it's going to do it at Ascot. The last time it made it to a 2-race cycle, the second race in that cycle was at Ascot. Finished second by 3/4 of a length in a Group 2. So today, it's second time off a layoff. It's going to be at Ascot as well. It's run that track 2 times with a win and a second, and at the distance 3 times with a win and a second as well. So I'm expecting some improvement from Ishada in round 2 off the bench. All right, the predictor says that which one of us is going to be right? Oh, this one's going to be a close race. Boom. Like I said, it's going to be one of those races where anybody can win. According to the predictor, it looks like Sweet Lady is your top choice. But boy, Eternal Pool, that looks like a photo to me, Tom, down there. What do you think?
Yeah, it does. And like the predictor and the odds, another race where easily 4-1, 5-1 will be your favorite. So,
what do you think about this one at the top? This was a
Very
star
elegant.
down in Australia and just hasn't seemed to found its form in Europe. Do you think maybe after that long trip that maybe this might be finally acclimated?
I think she's going the other way. I think she's not really interested anymore.
She's done, huh?
Yeah, and they're bringing her right back from not a great effort at Perry Longchamp. Yeah, she's the Melbourne Cup winner last year. I mean, she's won some huge races. I think she has 12 Group 1 races under her belt. But I couldn't play her here.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I think this is a bunch. There's better horses in here than her latest performances have gone.
Yeah, I kind of had that same feeling. I was trying to find a reason to put it in, but I really couldn't find a reason to put it in. All right, so now we're off to race number. I think this one's race number 4. Let me put that in there. So we have the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. This one is going to be 1 mile, so it's a miler. I like the mile races. That's back here. Again, we don't see many of these. I don't think we see any of these in the States at all, but 1 mile straight, boom. You got that uphill run, then the downhill run to the finish line. You feel the same way as the post is going to be again. I think, let's see, they're going to put the post on the far side, good to soft. This one's
small, and it's a smaller field too. So I think you're going to see probably them group up as some of these other races towards the middle and far. And they could be in 2 groups, or they're just going to all run down the middle together. I don't see them straying because it's on the far side. I don't see them straying over. And again, this is a big difference because the other field is 18 horses. This one is only 9.
And this one's going to start, I think, at approximately 10:20 a.m. Eastern. Yes, 10:20 a.m. Eastern for those in the States. So set your watches to that. All right, Tom, how do you see this one playing out?
Took number 8, Modern Games.
Uh-huh.
Really impressive last time out at Woodbine. He beat Ivor. He did it very easily. And Ivor just came back, ran second last weekend to Annapolis and at Keeneland. So that form holds. He's right there. He ran a decent race against a horse by the name of Baaeed, but there was nobody going to touch that horse in that race, and he didn't either. He had a 7 furlong race at Deauville, and I'm really convinced this horse is a miler. And everything I've seen, every time I've seen this horse run, and at other distances, I've not put it in. I mean, I put it in one race, but I basically have left it out. In the French Derby at Chantilly, same deal. It was too long for him, and he finished third, ran okay, but he seems to be that miler, and I think this is right up his alley. And a straightaway is absolutely ideal. And keep in mind, of course, this is our infamous Breeders' Cup winner last year.
Yes, but the winner that didn't run but did run.
Yeah, did run, and so that's why I'm going to put him on top. I think it beat the favorite, and I didn't even have the favorite in my picks. I took number 2, Jum Dubaim was my next choice.
Jadumi.
Yeah, 3 starts this season, all wins.
Mm-hmm.
They're at 7 and 8 furlongs. Started a listed race for the season, and then ran 2 Group 2 races. These were on the good or soft going. Good to soft. So he likes the type this kind of going. Yep, I think he's in form at the top of his game, and lightly raced, but never won a Group 1. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Tempus is my next choice. Ran third last time out at Newmarket. I think it was a better race than it looks on paper. It seemed to be right there. Prior to that, it won 4 races, and they were all at 8 furlongs, and they were in handicaps all the way up to Group 3 company. Okay, another one stepping up, but interesting record. 16 starts at this distance. He has 7 wins, 3 seconds, and 2/3. He's also won twice at Ascot in 3 tries. And you're going to get a bit of a price, but we're looking to pick up the pieces at the end. And I think that this horse, based on his form, is going to be right there.
So there's one tip on that, Tom. That must be you. I feel like Modern Games.
I don't get to pay the money for that.
Yeah. Well, Modern Games and Inspiro, those are probably going to be your 2 favorites when the gate open. Your most logical winners in that race, I think. So if you're going to try to beat it, I agree with you, Tom. I'm going to start off with the number 2 horse, not because I necessarily think it's the best horse. I just think what you're going to see when the betting is actually happening, it's going to be lopsided towards Modern Games and Inspiro, and then everybody else's odds might go up a little bit. So to me, the one horse that I think has a shot to upset these folks is Jadumi. It's run 9 times in its career. It's either finished first 5 times or third 4 times. So hoping it's the first place effort and not the third place effort between Modern Games and Innsbruck. I'm going to go with Innsbruck as my second choice in here. That's going to be the favorite. Right now, you can see it's 5-4 morning line. This horse has run, I think, what was it? Let me just scroll down real quick. 7 times, 6 wins, second. The second was in a couple starts back. But other than that, the horse has been at the distance 5 times, won 4 of them, the second in there. I mean, it just, the horse is going to be there at the end. Has a Group 1 win, a couple of them, actually 3 of them, so it can compete at this level unquestionably. The only question might be the soft. It's run on the soft surface twice, won both of those, so, checks that box as well. So it's really kind of hard to try to find an argument not to put it in your picks, for at least for me. But I figured I'd give it a whirl and trying to beat it. Modern Games is a horse, as you mentioned, Tom, in good form. We've seen it over here in North America a couple times, once winning at Del Mar, as you mentioned, at the Breeders' Cup, although the bettors didn't get the benefit from that one. And then turn around and just won up and Woodbine at the Woodbine Mile. Horse has performed exceptionally well at a mile 4 times, 3 wins, and a second. So, again, I think Modern Games and Innsbruck are your best 2 horses. Those are the ones that are likely to get it done. And then my 4th choice, because I have to have 4 choices just to aggravate Sean, is the Revenant. So this horse has done pretty well at Ascot. Run 3 times, a win and a second. But it's been pretty much a miler for most of its career. 19 of the 20 races at a mile. Took home the top prize in 11 out of 19. That's a pretty good record, winning about $1.5 million. So clearly running at a high level. Just looks to me like maybe the 3rd time off a layoff might be a bit of an ask. So the horse hasn't made it 3 races in a row without a break in over a year. So usually this horse is on the sidelines about this time. Haven't forgot about the predictor, though. I was close, Tom. I was almost going to press off to race number 5, but I didn't. All right, so the predictor says, bang, Modern Games is going to win this race. Innsbruck's are going to be a distant 3rd. Jadumi right there for the at the wire. It looks like it's just going to barely get beat by Modern Games. The Revenant, Tempest, and Innsbruck, Bayside Boy way back there. Again, another race where maybe you get paid if it plays out this way, because you got kind of like that backdoor trifecta. Because the Innsbruck being back there. All right. Next race we're going to cover is the last one today, Tom, at Ascot. And then we're going to go off to that Everest race down in Australia. This one is a mile and 2 furlongs, or a mile and an 1/8, according to our parlance here. Mile and an 1/8 does get away from that straightaway. Looks like they're going to start right about here, run downhill, go flat, come around that turn on that steady rise, come back around, hit the finish line, Tom. And I would suppose it's not much different than a 1.5 mile race. You want to probably be more towards the inside here on that turn, because if you're not there, you might get lost right up in here somewhere, get shuffled back, and really never be able to recover.
You better have good kick. If you're caught a little too wide. And again, the going will have some effect, whether the inside's playing. If it's all playing fair, then the biased will not really come into factor. But we'll have some races to watch before this one, and that will be around the turn, so we'll get some idea of what may happen in this one. But on the other hand,
well, this one starts at 11 o'clock Eastern, so right as you're about to get ready for some of the U.S. action. So as they're starting to put out all those scratches everywhere except Belmont at Aqueduct, where 5 minutes to post, you still don't know who's in the race. Whoever's running that NYRA stuff needs to get their act together and get that information out a little bit earlier, please. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, Thomas, take us through the last set of picks for us at Ascot before we go to Australia.
His last race of his career, number 2, Baaeed, is the horse to beat. Without question. 10 for 10. His best races have been at 8 furlongs, and then he just stretched out to 10.5, and guess what he did?
Well, he won 10 out of 10, so I think that one I might actually get right. He won.
And when he did it, he won by 6.5 lengths. So, and frankly, in looking at the replay of the race, it didn't even look like Jim Crowley was really asking for anything out of the horse. He just did it easily. When he was asked to pick it up a little, he went and just blew by him. And it's going to take a lot of horse to beat this one, or he's going to have to be really off or have a really awful trip.
2 to 9, 14 tips. Let's see if anybody else even got a tip.
Doubt it.
Nobody else gets a tip. So you're paying these guys over there to give you 2 to 9s. All right, Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah. Crazy, huh? I took number 4, Dubai Honor, as my next choice. Ran second last time out in the all-weather Kempton at 12 furlongs. In a Group 3, it was the favorite in that race. Like many horses, he's also seen the back end of Baaeed, and that was at York. He ran 4th in that race. Missed by a nose in July, and otherwise, if you toss his Dubai race out, which was awful, he's done very well. Got 2 seconds and a 4th from 4 races.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him beating the stablemate, but I do think he's going to be around there for the money. My final choice is going to be number 8, my Prospero. And he won at Salisbury last out at Group 2 for 3-year-olds, won by half a length, and he was a huge favorite, which he should be. That was back in July, so he's going to come back here. Royal Ascot race, 8 furlongs, in June, which would be Royal. He ran 3rd, and a little firmer going. This is a 3-year-old who's lightly raced. Only got 6 races. So I'm going to put him for 3rd, and that would, if I do this, it'll be all William Haggis's horses. 1, 2, 3.
The Haggis trifecta. There you go. I'm going to go with number 2. Yay, surprise. 16 for 16 on the tips there, Tom. I don't know. When I was doing this, sometimes you get like that little voice in your head, right? That tells you like, hey. I don't know if that happens to you, but I get like a little voice in my head and said, be careful. This Coronation, the horse is due to run a bad race somewhere, 10 out of 10. I just feel like there might be an upset, Tom. I'm not going to pick it. I'm not that bold, but if there's a horse that is going to upset it, I think it's going to be Baaeed. Again, I'm a big cycle guy. This horse is making its first start off, a little bit of rest, hasn't run since early July. The last 3 times the horse had a little bit of rest, it came back and won every single one of them. Has a trip over Ascot, did finish second, but what I like is at the distance, 5 times out, 3 wins in a second. So 1.25 miles is the right distance for Baaeed. If there's one that's going to beat Baaeed, to me, it's that one. I also like as my 3rd pick, just like you, number 8, my Prospero. Number 8, as far as I'm concerned, this horse has only won 5 times. He's got 3 wins, 2/3. You just don't know what this horse is capable of. It's been moving up the class ladder. Did get a Group 1, 3rd by a neck. Came back to win next time out at a Group 2. So it's looking for that big win. It's been competitive in every single race minus its debut. We'll see if it can do that again. And then finally, my final choice in here at 80 to 1, Thomas. You got to have a bomb in here. Well, it's not really the bomb. You got some real long ones in here too.
Yeah, there was some bigger bombs.
So this horse is the mid-priced horse in this pack.
Ironically.
Yes. Hey, $2 to win on Royal Champion. What the hell? You might win something on that one. But that last race out at 1.25 miles was by far its best race, winning by 5.5 lengths. Just smoking the field. It's run at the distance 2 times, one of which was that win by a mile. And he also finished 3rd. So what the hell? We'll see if this horse really is a 1.25 mile horse. I think if we run instead of saying who the predictor is going to pick to finish first, Thomas, we all know it's going to pick Baaeed. Who's your choice for it to finish second?
The predictor is going to pick Adaria. I'm going to pick Dubai Honor.
Well, I'm going to go with Baaeed as the second one. That's my second pick, and I think that's who the computer is going to have as well. And the answer says, press the button. Well, look at Baaeed. Where is everybody else? So there they are. Can we even tell who's going to finish second? That's got to be the funniest one I've ever seen.
Yeah,
scroll down a little smaller screen.
Scroll down a little. I think you've got your second horse there.
My Prospero, yeah, it's pretty tight. Neither one of us had that one. What's funny about that is if I had a little smaller screen, you would have only seen Baaeed.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go off to Australia, let's go off to Major League Baseball in the United States. There might even be some college football today. So if there is, there's a link down below in the description. Head over to that, to the picks by the professor. This guy's parlay of the day. There's a link to that. There's also a link to his YouTube channel. He's been a little bit cold on those parlays, but he's pretty good on the individual play of the days. So make sure you check out his videos. While you're over there, make sure that you go in the comment section. Be loud, be obnoxious. Let him know that Horse Racing Today sent you and told you specifically to cause a ruckus. All right, Tom, now we're going to go down under to Royal Randwick. There's what the track looks like. We're going to do the Everest, which is race number 7 on their card. That's going to be from tonight to tomorrow morning. So a little bit of insomnia racing. This one's going to go off at 1:15 a.m. Eastern time. So a few hours from now. Like you said, $15 million Australian race. It is a it looks like 9.7 million. I don't know. Maybe the currency's fluctuating that much in the States lately.
I just took the last number when I plugged it in. It was a couple days ago. I wanted to see what and it is definitely the richest 6 furlong race in the world.
So 6 furlongs on that track. Let's find out where 6 furlongs is. Where is the
up on the chute on the right side?
Oof, I can't find it anywhere. Where is it? 3,226. Boom, boom.
Right side, all the way up.
All the way up here. All right, right there. Right there. Boom, all the way down and around that turn. So one little turn, kind of like a backwards L. Does that turn impact the race, Tom?
It can. But again, they're going to spread out pretty wide, and you're going to, and there's no question there's going to be a fast tempo.
Mm-hmm. I think that's unquestionable.
I think it's there's no question in my mind. And, it is a bit of an oblong course, but in this case, we're only having one turn because we're just going 6 furlongs.
Oh, look, they're running backwards down there. Here's your speed map for the early speed out of the gates. And it looks like Joyful Fortune might have a little bit of an early pace advantage over Apache Chase. Eduardo Shades of Rose will be trailing right behind them, along with Nature Strip, who looks like it's going to be the big favorite. When they're coming home down the stretch, Mass Crusade, well, looks like Jacquinot is going to be the one that has the most late legs, followed by Mass Crusader, Private Eye, and Kematari. Tom, so we have an idea what the speed looks like. We have an idea what the late pace looks like. Do we have an idea of what your picks look like?
Well, we're going to.
All right, let's find out.
Number 3, Lost and Running is going to be my top choice. One last start at Randwick on the heavy going, and it had an average start and a tremendous finish. First start of the season, it broke. That was the race before. It broke, not so well.
Mm-hmm.
Sat 7th. It had 0 cover. When it moved forward, the best it could do is get to 3rd.
I'm curious to see when the results come, if every time the bell rang, if you actually had a winner. I'm going to go back and review it.
Heavy going. It's not going to bother the horse. Looks like it's going to be a soft.
I think I saw soft 7.
Soft 7 was the last number I saw. This horse likes that kind of going, so not going to be a huge shock. See this one win, and it's definitely in form. Beat a bunch of Group 1s last time, and run at Randwick. So let's just that's why I'm going to put it on top.
All right.
6 is going to be my next choice, and that is Private Eye. And he won his first start of the season at Flemington. It was in a Group 2 race at 1,200 meters, and he was on a good track. He has 5 starts on a heavy track or soft, and he's done okay. He's got 2 wins and 2 wins from 10 starts total. Last race, he didn't break very well, but guess what he did? He won, and he won very going away. So did he outclass the field? It's very possible. Or is he just in form? I mean, he is a Group 1 horse. He's good enough for this bunch. He's won 5 times at Group 1s. So that's why I threw him in for second. I like that last race, and I like that that move at the end. I mean, where it didn't get break very well, it settled okay, but it was in the back and then just blew them all away.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I'm going to really stretch this one, and I'm going to take the undefeated horse, number 12, Giga Kick. He's got 4 starts and 4 wins. Last 2 races the group race was at 1,100 meters, so he's going to stretch out a little here. He's won those nicely. His main win was a wire-to-wire win, so that's, but it was against a pretty weak field, frankly. But the other, he's been coming with one big run, and you're going to need it here because this bunch. He's one of the soft going, but he's never run 6 furlongs. So, but he gets weight, which always is going to help. And you never know with these undefeated horses what they can do at this top level.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to lose yet.
It hasn't, and also I think the running style with the speed that's in this race suits, and that's why I'm going to put him for 3rd.
All right, so I'm going to have that horse in my picks exactly in the 3rd spot as well, just for the same reasons that you just talked about. For me, if a horse hasn't lost, you have to consider it. Doesn't necessarily mean it fits with this group, but I think mentally the horse doesn't know anything other than to win. So I do think it's going to fight until the end, because either that or once it gets past, it's going to totally give in because it's not been in that situation before. But if it can get up front, being part of the pace, have a good shot. To me, the horse that's going to win this race is Eduardo. It's wet. There's no question this horse likes a wet racetrack. Been on a soft track 8 times, won 5 of them. Been on a heavy track 6 times, won 4 of them. So if it's wet, Eduardo wants to run. There's no question about that.
Well, yeah, he's 14 starts and 9 wins on wet.
No, not bad, right? Got a couple of placings in there as well.
Yeah.
The other horse I like in here is going to be the favorite, Nature Strip. Kind of hard not to pick this horse. I mean, it's done everything it's supposed to do. The horse has run very well as well at the distance. 13 times, 7 wins. Been at Randwick 15 times, won 7 of them. In the money, 11 of 15. Been at the soft track 8 times, 6 wins. Been on a heavy track 4 times, 3 wins. So likes the track, likes it wet, likes the distance, likes everything about it. And, that's why it's going to be a 2-1, right? I mean, it's the one to beat.
I wasn't thrilled with the draw, and that's why I'm going to try to beat it.
Well, I try to beat it too with Eduardo, but I'm not going to leave it out of my exacta trifecta tickets, because if it comes in 2nd or 3rd, again, I mentioned the 12 horse has my 3rd choice in there because it's not lost. And then I'm going to go with number 5, Mazoo, as my final choice. Looking at Mazoo, this is a horse that's run at the track 6 times, finished in the money 5 of them, with 3 wins and 4 times, 3 wins and a second. Been at the distance 7 times, in the money 6 of those with 4 wins. So likes to win at the track, likes to win at the distance. The question for me is the going. If it's soft, he's won half of his races, so it'll be all or nothing. But if they get some additional rain and the track gets downgraded to heavy, on a heavy track, he's run 5 times, 4 wins and a second. And I don't know what the weather forecast is down there. I should have probably looked it up. But the last time you and I did, not this past time at Caulfield, but the week before that, man, it was raining like crazy.
Yeah.
And it got really bad. So if we get a similar type thing where the rain comes and the track gets much worse, Mazoo is going to be the happiest horse in the gate because he certainly seems to love heavy going. All right, Tom, that wraps up our foreign trip across a couple of continents to Europe and down to Australia. Any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
Well, it is a quick turnaround from Champions Day, but there's always that possibility we'll see one of those in the Breeders' Cup. Mm-hmm. So pay attention to some of those races. Also, look at the form because you may have a horse that is in the Breeders' Cup who ran against some of these horses. Mm-hmm. And gives you some idea where that horse may be in position if it's going in the Breeders' Cup races.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the Breeders' Cup, of course, we're going to be completely prepped for the Breeders' Cup. We'll be working on that as they come. We'll have our international flavor preview of course, all of that will be available. But also, if you get over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet, our free track of the day today is Fresno. Not quite sure what we'll do on Saturday, so that's the Friday free track. There's a link for that down in the description down below. So if you're on this side of the, in the States or anywhere in the world, and you plan on putting a little bit of action at Fresno, go on over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet, take a look at that. But also for those folks who do take the monthly subscription now, it will go and cover the Breeders' Cup, and those who do the monthly pro will also get the Breeders' Cup wagering guide, which will be very extensive in terms of the amount of information that's available. Again, please use a link at horseracingtoday.net or in the description below. Of course, while you're here on YouTube, Tom, or following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what should folks do?
Oh, I hope they're going to subscribe, because you can't find this information anywhere else.
No, you can't.
Tune us in. And you get the notifications or that ding.
Yeah. The ding that tells you when you pick the winner. Yeah. All right. Yes, indeed. And while you're here, please kindly hammer that like button if you like the content. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to win. It's horse racing, folks, right? But we do our research. We are prepared, right?
We try to be.
Never perfect, but always prepared. That's the idea, Thomas. And I think we've done a pretty good job considering the lack of information on this side of the world for the international races. All right, Thomas.
The information's pretty good overall. I mean, where I've struggled, like it was like South Africa, when I've taken a look at some of those races. Hong Kong is just a Hong Kong.
Yeah, and the currency. I don't like the currency exchange. I'll never forget that. Any idea what we're looking at next week? Are we going to go to Australia again? Because that Randwick card outside of that Everest race is a good card too. It's filled with
Kosciuszko, and this is a top notch card. And at Randwick, and Caulfield's also got a good race too. So it's an interesting card. Well, I don't know where we're going to go, but I do want to say to people who are interested in Australian racing, and the Melbourne Cup is coming up, and that'll be the first Tuesday in November.
Perfect.
And we will it's right before the Breeders' Cup, so why not cover a 24-horse field going 2 miles?
Oh, we'll definitely do that. And just for those who are playing along in their accounts, I think Randwick tonight, if I remember, is Australia B. So keep that in mind as you're looking for those races later on tonight for your insomnia racing. All right. Whether you're doing insomnia racing tonight, you're doing Fresno in the afternoon, or any track today in the States, or tomorrow, Royal Ascot, to get your breakfast, your McDonald's, and your coffee as you get your bets in. No matter what you do, we hope that it ends up in one place, Tom, and it can only be
one place. That's the winner's circle, because you don't win if you don't win.
that is profound. Have a fantastic weekend. Tom and Terry and I will see you Monday for Parks.